Tractate Kiddushin, page 43. We'll start on 42b, 11 lines from the bottom of the page, Me'ilah. We discussed yesterday and day before yesterday, Dinei Shlichut, meaning the whole key point in this chapter is mainly dealing with idea that a person sent someone to be his agent. And the question is, how far an agent, a power of attorney in a modern day's term, or someone who is the emissary, can go with his rights. We explained that there is a contradictory statement which said that a person cannot be an agent for something that it's against the Torah law or against the even rabbinic law. Reuven, just for the name, cannot send Shimon to do something that is opposing, that, for example, something is a consecrated item. It was dedicated to the Beit HaMikdash service. So can someone take another person to do something that it's basically misuse a consecrated item? Or if you talk modern days, all right? If a person asks, if Reuven asks Shimon to do something that it's in a breach of the law, then you have a conflicted point. How far the responsibility of Reuven takes place, and when you said no, Shimon, you are responsible to what we're doing. I'm using it just for the sake of total clarity. Yesterday we used the example of the Nuremberg laws. If you remember, it was a big, after World War II, a big court cases in Germany over the responsibility of those people. And the famous claim that so many try to say is, I just follow order. I didn't do it because I want to do it. I did it because they forced me or they asked me to do it. And the point is, we said in Halakha, you have the responsibility to do what is right. And if they ask you to do something that it's opposed the moral and ethical manner, you have to use your judgment. You cannot follow as a sheep blindly. The reality is that the Torah in our religion, it's not a religion that they said you have to do everything blindly. We have the right to challenge and ask. We have to follow the framework of Jewish law, yet if something is opposing the law, and it's clear that opposition of the law, therefore here is the breaching point that we do not have to follow. So here the Gemara start again to challenge all the concept of these two entities. In one, we said, Shlucho shel Adam kemoto, the agent of the person is the same as himself. So for example, if Reuven sent Shimon to betroth wives for him, so he can do it with money, he can do it with documentation. By the same token, he cannot have the manner of intercourse that originally we explained in the first chapter, that can make a betrothal or effective marriage. The same applies the other way. If he asks him to do something in a sense of betrothal or divorce or other manner that it's opposing the law, it's not going to be an effective. And again, we ask those questions in many aspects of halakha, such as shomrim. If someone is a guardian, I left my house or my apartment to my neighbor. I said to him or her, watch over, I left something on the oven, cooking, and they said fine. And when I came back, the whole kitchen was burning. So how far you said that since they don't get paid and they just nod their head and said fine, how far they're responsible? So that's the whole concept of responsibility when you appointed someone to do something for you, and it's a broader issue. So again, we are on page 42b, 11 line, Me'ilah had the Amaran, Shlichut Yad Maihi Detanya. So here we learned yesterday the juxtaposition of the word chet. They said the word transgression twice, and we learn it from verbal analogy to consecrated item. And this is a framework of free guardian, meaning you have Reuven who asked Shimon to watch over an item. And he did not pay anything to Shimon. Shimon said, fine, I'll watch over that. And all of a sudden, guess what happened? The item was lost. Now the issue is, what exactly Shimon needs to do in order to compensate Reuven for the loss? Because Reuven left him to watch over that item. So the Torah said in the book of Shmot, Exodus chapter 22, verse 7, that Shimon needs to take an oath. And the oath is basically to make sure that he, by any means, directly or indirectly, was not involved in the loss of that item. Meaning, if he is attached to that item, to that deposit, to that item that he's supposed to guard, obviously he needs to pay it. But if it was stolen or it's something beyond his control, for example, the Gemara used in several places in Bava Metzia, in that tractate, if he was watching over a stable or watching over a place of animals, and while he was there it was strong wind that opened the doors and the animals ran away, right? So again, that's beyond his control. So he needs to do a matter of oath, but then the text said, Al kol dvar pesha. Al kol dvar pesha meaning for every matter of trespass. What does that mean? Here, the word devar is a disputation between two schools of thought, Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel. Beit Shammai omrim, Beit Shammai said, lechayev al hamachashava kema'aseh. This is a very deep thought. They said that the thought, your obligation for a thought, like an action itself. So it means that one who is responsible, he render liable for speech and thought, meaning the intent to misappropriate, like action. So in that sense is the same as you did it, even you physically did not do it. Versus Ubeit Hillel omrim, אינו חייב עד שישלח בו יד. Beit Hillel said no. One is liable only if he actually misappropriates the item, because it's written, שנאמר אם לא שלח ידו, whatever, he has not put his hand unto his neighbor's good, in Exodus 22. So therefore, here you see this disputation between two schools of thought, and the Gemara elaborates on all the consequences of that discussions. אמרו בית שמאי לבית הלל, ולא נאמר על כל דבר פשע. Beit Shammai said to Beit Hillel, the Torah said clearly, in general statement, for every matter of trespass. Every matter of trespass. Meaning that the guardian is responsible even of the thought, even for the thought. אמרו להם בית הלל לבית שמאי, ולא נאמר אם לא שלח ידו במלאכת רעהו, meaning he is not responsible only if he is actually, physically involved in that manner of which is the responsibility in action. So it said, אמרו בית שמאי לבית הלל, אם כן על כל דבר פשע למה לי? So why you need that sentence? As we see in so many discussions, we go after every single word in the Torah because we know that the Torah is extremely, not only divine, but very prudent with words. So we want to make sure that it's not written more than once. So it has to have a reason. So here they said, we have one of the principles. If you remember yesterday we talked about Rabbi Yosef Glili and principle number 20. So the principle said that if you have two verses that come as one, so one derive one entity and the other one derive a different entities, as we said earlier, because the whole purpose of the text in the Torah is a different derivative. The duplication is impossible in a sense of same matter of interpretations. So therefore, one derive that when it's come to send an agent to do something that is a misuse of consecrated property, and the other one, it means that if you send someone to do physically, it's called shlichut yad, right? That you do physical matter of action, then you have the responsibility. Beit Hillel hanicha lebeit Hillel. This will go well with the view of Beit Hillel. Why? Because they said that by the term al kol dvar pesha, in any manner of, for every matter of transfer. So what do we derive from that? We said that one is liable for an action on his behalf of misappropriates the deposit. So that's, it is shaliach ledvar avera, that you have an agent for something that is transgressed. But it means that you have two entities, two verses, the derivative for these both me'ilah, misuse, and shlichut yad. אלא לבית שמאי דמוקמי לה להי קרא במחשבה כמעשה. But if you go by the view of Beit Shammai said that the pasuk, the verse, it means that the person is liable for thought, right? For thought like action, and they not learn here that the Bailey is liable if one acting of his behalf misappropriates the deposit. So even if someone asks someone to do something for deposit, it may happen that he is responsible. Even in that sense, the Rashash said, Hamaknes said, you tell someone to do something, even he didn't do it, something happened and it was beyond his control to do it, but the merely fact that you ask him to do something, right, and he have in his mind to do it, right, now there is a school of thought that according to this view of Beit Shammai, that he is already liable and responsible for the framework of doing something. Page 43, Neilaf minei. There is a concept, it's called binyan av, meaning you derive something from a general concept. So since we are here to speak about the misuse of consecrated item, so there is a concept of agent to any matter of transgressions in the Torah, meaning the way that we understand the view of Beit Shammai, the way we learn it in the previous page, the guardian is not responsible of something that someone did on his behalf, but again, mishum dahava me'ilah, they respond to the view of Beit Shammai, they said, mishum dahava me'ilah tvicha umchira, because misuse of consecrated property and the slaughter or sale of a stolen cow or sheep are two verses that come as one, which is the book of Shemot, chapter 21. And he said, "V'chol shnei chtovim aba'im ke'echad en melamdin." This is something we learned yesterday as well, that when you have two psukim, two verses that come as one, do not teach the common aspect to apply to other cases. So even according to a view of Beit Shammai, you do not derive other transgressions from this. Me'ilah hade amaran. The matter of the misuse of consecrated property is what we just said, which means you learn the word chet, sin two times from consecrated item. Tvicha u'mechira maihi. When it's come to a slaughter or sale, how do you learn that there is a shlichut, as a agent that does that in those matter and responsibility. Amar Kra, utvacho mecharo. The Torah said here is a case that someone stole a one of this type. He stole. They use the term a shore, ox or seh, lamb, and then he slaughter or sell it. So we derive a juxtaposition between the two. Ma mechira al yedei acher, just as a sale is necessary to perform by means of others, since every transaction involves the two parties. Af tvicha al yedei acher, also slaughter can be performed by means of others. Meaning you have here the thief that is liable even if the act of slaughtering is performed by his agent. So, meaning, you have a thief that is slaughtered animal, and that animal was stolen, right? And, or he sell it to someone else. So, it means, the Gemara in Bava Kama, page 67, said that by doing double sins, he is responsible for all these payment. So it means when it's come to commit a sin, there is a matter of shlichut, of emissaries. The Vei Rabbi Ishmael Tana, we learn in the study, in the school of Rabbi Ishmael, or because they use the term either he slaughtered or he sold it, or lerabot et hashaliach, meaning if the thief sends someone, like you watch El Capone, all this mafia, right? They are clean hands, but they send someone to do it on their behalf, right? Still in Russia, right? So he sends someone for him to steal the animal or to sell it, right? So he is responsible for his agent, including the extraordinary payment, which called arba'a v'chamisha. The 4th and the 5th time, as you know, in the Torah is a different term of payment. There is a robber that just need to pay what he took. There is a thief that need to pay double because he fear people, but he's not fearing God, right? And then there is a cases that need to pay 4 and 5 times. Yes.
But I understand the person that pays on their behalf, but the person that sits there and acts like the king and then directs other people under him, what's his punishment?
You mean to say like the president of Russia or people like that?
The thief's the person that
No, the kingpin. That's.
You just said the thief is responsible. What about the individual?
We just discussed it yesterday. We said yesterday very clearly, right, David? We said that in the 2 shiurim, we said that this is the serious dynamics, how far you go. There is a concept that it's called heavenly punishment, which means, we said it on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, that God knows what you have in your heart, right? And therefore, when it's all right, and then when it's all said and done, God will finish up whatever left in this world.
So these people are subject to a heavenly
every action in Judaism, every single action that a person does, there is a heavenly judgment. The fact that we do not understand in full doesn't mean that we don't do our best in our human eyes to do the right justice.
And also we have to realize that Hashem has, we don't understand why things are happening, I guess, now. Like Hashem
what happens in this world is why. Why does someone like Al Capone appear to have so many rewards in this world?
And Hashem
we discuss this many times, why righteous people suffering and
He's a merciful God, so He gives us time for us to change.
Right.
Behavior,
but he sets everything up
come back to
but
you because he puts
again, that's
universal law, or what you want, you could call
but
it.
He sets everything up for a reason. I mean, there's a reason to every systematic move.
Yeah.
We might not understand it.
but the point is, so far is, right. So they said, let me just review, the Rabbi Ishmael Tana, או לרבות את השליח, the וחזקיה Tana, תחת לרבות את השליח. Again, so that's the payment. You need to take responsibility if you send someone on your behalf to do something like that. So it means you have 2 ktuvim, you have 2 verses according to Beit Shammai. One dealing with the sin of misuse, and the second one deal with the sin of slaughter of sale. And then we say that a person is responsible to what his agent did. הניחא למאן דאמר שני כתובים הבאים כאחד אין מלמדים, אלא למאן דאמר מלמדים מעיקא למימר. This will be good and well to the view that the two verses that come as one do not teach a precedent that applies to other cases. But according to the one who said that two verses do teach a precedent, what can be said? Why not derive from the case of misuse of consecrated property and that of slaughter or sale that an agent can be appointed to perform a sin, a transgression? So they said, Galei Rachamana, the Torah, the mercy one, revealed to us that an agent cannot be appointed to perform a sin in the case of what? Bishchutei dam, bishchutei chutz, because the Torah said slaughter outside of Beit HaMikdash, because they said in the Torah, Leviticus 17, dam yechashev la'ishahu dam shafach. It shall be considered blood for that person, because he spilled blood, which means when the Torah used the word that man, that person, that means that that person is responsible, is liable for what he did, for his action, but he's not liable for the action of his agent. So now we said, okay, Ashkechan, this will be good and well, that you do not send shaliach, you don't send an agent for something that is a sin, gabei shchutei chutz. This will be good for slaughter outside of the temple. But bechol Torah menalan, how do you know by the entire teaching of the Torah that this manner of being an agent is not effective? The alif mishchutei chutz, because we learn from this concept of slaughtering outside of the temple. Adi alif mishchutei chutz nelach me'anach. We just learned from this binyan av, from this concept that slaughtering and sale, that it is a situation that you sent a agent for something that is opposing the law. So they said, Hadar katav achmana. So that's the reason why the Torah said it clearly. Later in the sentence, they said, Venichrat ha'ishahu. It didn't say, Venichrat mikerev amo. They said, ha'ishahu, which means that person, im eno inyan legufo, if it's not needed for the matter itself, since the pasuk it's already taught that he is liable only for his own act and not for act of his agent. So you derive from that the entire concept in the Torah that one is held liable only for one's own actions, but not for an agent. So what do you derive from the word that man? So he said, chad is a different purposes for that word. One, so as we explained day before yesterday, when it's come to, for example, Korban Pesach, you don't have kol kehal, you don't have everybody holding the knife and slaughter the Paschal lamb. You have one who represents everyone, who is the power of attorney or the representations, to do the proper slaughtering, right? So here, if you have two people who hold a knife and slaughter an offering outside of the temple courtyard, so if it happens unintentionally, so they are free from bringing a special sin offering for that error, because the Torah said the word hahu, that particular person, which is individual that did it, is responsible. But if there are two are not, v'chad, and another concept that we learn, hu velo anus, hu velo shogeg, hu velo mut'eh, meaning he and is not one who is compelled, was not unwittingly, unintentionally, and one that was mistaken, one who did not know that the animal was an offering. So what do you see from here? That in order to liable one, you have to have acted with full awareness and completely willingly. So the Gemara said, Ve'idach me'ahu, hahu, ve'idach hu hahu lo darish. Ve'ha, I see that we're running out of time, so I'll do it a little faster. Okay. והד תניא אומר לשלוחות שערוג את הנפש, הוא חייב ושולחיו פטור. Someone said, you remember we used the Nazis, just via negativa example? You tell someone, go and kill, right? Mercenary, or whatever it is, you ask. So what happened is that the person who did it, he is responsible, and the one who sent him so far is not responsible. Why? Because you have the brain and you have to make decisions by yourself. שמאי הזקן אומר משום חגי הנביא שולחיו חייו, שנאמר אותו הרגת בחרב. So it was a discussion between the prophet Natan and David HaMelech in regards to Uriah the Hittite. So he said אותו הרגת בחרב בני עמון, which means because you make him part of the captive of the Ammonites, you cause him indirectly to die, the Uriah. King David is responsible, even he didn't do it by himself, but only Yoav, the minister of defense, did it on his behalf. So there is a discussion in the Shach, in Choshen Mishpat 3:48, how far a person responsible. So here you see a new light, which is the one who sent is responsible, right? So as you see, he derived it from the idea of two verses. As we said earlier, is another concept, which is since God is God of justice, and since we said in Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, Bochen Klayot Valev, God knows what is the person's heart. So therefore, you can say that in the human court, is no agent for committing a sin. But in the heavenly court, God will take care of that. Meaning the first Tana hold that even from the heavenly court is free. Which is, it's a different in the manner of punishment. How, according to Shammai Zaken, is a great punishment. According to Nakama, even by the heavenly court is not punished, but only a small one, like someone caused someone to do a sin, but not someone who's physically in his own hand committed a murdering, etc. Meaning that specifically case that Natan said to David HaMelech is responsible, but not the others. Ve'idach, how we explain is like the whole idea that someone sent someone to do something, he himself is not responsible. Which means you are not responsible for all the others that people of Ammonite killed during the war. So it means that he's not responsible even by heavenly court. That's the way the Ritva explained. Meaning at that time, it was based on the Gemara in Sanhedrin 49 and also the Rambam Ilchot Melachim chapter 3. You have an act of war. You go as the officer, Gilbert will tell you, you go to the officer doing the war, and you have a soldier that in the middle of the war decided that he's going against the order of the officers. So in this case, since the King David make a decision and Uriah rebel against the king, so basically Yoshua in Joshua chapter 1 verse 18 said, whoever violate your commandment, he will be liable to death. So therefore, he was rebel against the king, and therefore he is responsible. Uriah said to King David, so it means he called Yoav, the front of his king, Adoni, which means it's a matter of rebelliousness, not accepting the authority. אמר רבא, אם תמצא לומר סבר שמאי, שני כתובים באים כאחד מלמדין, והוא לא דריש. מודה, ואומר לשלוחו, צא באול את הערווה, צא ואכול את החלב, שהוא חייב ושלוחיו פטור. You tell someone to do a violation of Torah law, committing adultery or eating fat, all these examples of sins. So the one who committed, if he is a normal person, right, we judge him by his action, and the one who sent him is free. שלא מצינו בכל תורה כולה, זה נהנה וזה מתחייב. Which means one person will derive benefit or joy from the sin, and someone else is responsible for what he derived sin. So that's the whole list of Leviticus 18. The Torah called a violation of Torah law. It's derivative for the person who committed, not for others. Itmar, Rav amar sheliach nasa ed, ורבי שילה אמר אין שליח נשא עד. So here, we have a statement. Rav said an agent can become a witness. If one was appointed an agent to perform a certain task, he can then serve as a witness that the action was performed. And Rabbi Shila said no. Because he didn't say that you be my witness. He betrothed, Reuven betrothed Tamar, for example, the front of two valid witnesses. One of the things you pay attention at the wedding, the proper religious wedding, right? So they have to say, the groom need to say to them, Atem edai, you are my witnesses. Kiddushin. So the idea is, as long as you have two kosher witnesses, it's effective. Even he didn't say it, right? So they said, El Rav Amar sheliach nasayed alu mikama ma'alimna lemimtei. ורב שילה אמרי, אין שליח נשאד, כמאן דאמר שלוחו של אדם כמותו, אבל כגופי. So here the two school of thought. Rav said that by saying an agent can become a witness, we strengthen his word, which means of testimony, because he attests to a matter of which he is certain, and he is the one that perform an action. Rav Shila said, no, an agent cannot become a witness. So, כיוון דאמר שלוחו של אדם כמותו, but since they said that the agent of a person like himself, it's considered like who appointed himself. So the same way as the one cannot testify with regard to something that applied to himself, the same applies to one agent. אמר לשלושה צאו וקדשו לי את האישה. You said with three people, go and betroth a woman for me. אחד שליח ושניים עדים. One person, Reuven, is his agent, and the other two, it's the witnesses. דברי בית שמאי. But they אומרים, כולם שלוחים הם. But they'll say that since he asked three people, they're all considering his agent, ואין שליח נשאי, and therefore the agent cannot be a witness. עד כאן לא פליגי, אלא בשלושה. All of that applies when he said through three, אבל בשניים דברי הכל לא. But if there are two, they're clear that the Kiddushin, the matter of betroth, is not effective, is not valid, because according to Beit Shammai, the moment that one of them is no longer valid to be a witness, it means you have the whole matter of Kiddushin or betroth at the front of only one witness, and we said many times, based on the Torah, that you have to have two witnesses in order to validate the matter of the engagement, the betroth. So therefore, we challenge what Rav said, that he said that an agent is effective to be a witness for whatever he was sent to. Who the Amar ki Aitana, the Tanya Rabbi Natan Omer Beit Shammai אומרים shaliach ved echad, which means you have one person is the agent, one person is a witness. They can combine both of them to be a witness. And Beit Hillel אומרים shaliach ushne edim. Beit Hillel said no, you have to have the agent. The agent himself cannot be a witness. It has to be two separate entities. V'Rav ki Beit Shammai. So Rav who said that agent can be a witness, you mean to say that he holds the same in Beit Shammai? Because we said that any place in general we go by Beit Hillel. Said Eipuch. You have to go the reverse order, which means that Beit Shammai said that one shaliach and two witnesses, and Beit Hillel said one shaliach and one ed, one witness. V'Rav Achabrid Rava matne ipcha. Rav Amar en shaliach nasayed, v'Rab Shila Amrei shaliach nasayed, which means that Rav match Beit Hillel according to Rabbi Natan v'hilcheta, and this is the bottom line, shaliach nasayed, an agent can become a witness, which means that that he can testify on something that he was sent as a shaliach. So since we said clearly that an agent can become a witness, now we bring another statement of Rav Nachman in that matter. Amar Rav Nachman amar לשניים צאו וקדשו לי את האישה, הן שלוחיו, הן עדיו. If you said to two people, go and betroth a woman for me, so these people are his agent, these people can be as well a witnesses. וכן בגירושין, which means if he said to two people that to give a get to his wife, they bring the bill of divorce to her on his behalf, and they also can come to a rabbinic court and be a witnesses to the testimony of delivering of the get. 43b, וכן בדיני ממונות, if you send two people to pay a debt to a creditor, so it's not only that they can pay to the lender or the lending institution on your behalf, but they also can testify in the court, and they are trustworthy to testify and say that they did it and they pay off the debt. וצריכה, דישמעינן בקידושין משום דלמסרי קאתי, because that basically by matter of betrothal, they prohibited that woman to themselves and to the entire world, so what the gain they get out if they lie. אבל גירושין, ניחו שם נתן נבא, but when it's come to divorce, you may think that one of the agent having intent, he wants that woman for himself, so therefore he agreed with the other witness to testify in something that is not true in order for him to take her as his wife, and each one of them think that she will agree to that setup. So but when it's come to divorce, we cannot have women to two men. אבל ממונה, when it's come to a monetary agreement, they agree between the parties to lie in order to divide the money between the crooks. So therefore, Rav Nachman agreed in all these three cases that those agents are trustworthy, and for sure the Pnei Yoshua elaborates why you challenge those agents more than all the other witnesses, but again, we do not have the time. If you tell me that someone will lend money to his fellow, and he needs to, or you deposit, you need to have the witnesses, so therefore the lender or the borrower need to pay off the debt at the front of witnesses, which means you do not testify by saying, I paid you. You need to have a real proof that that was paid. You have an issue here of negiah. Negiah meaning you are not pure, you have part of that deal, which means that if is any indirect monetary attachment to that testimony, so therefore automatically that make that person invalid to testify in the court. Meaning, if the agent said we didn't do it, we didn't deliver it, amarlu piruni. So if that's the case, give me the money. So they without proof, they will not be trustworthy to say that they did it. You may say that one who lends money to another in the presence of witness, the debtor does not need to repay him in the presence of witnesses. Umigo, and this idea, migo, is the claim. Since the agent are able to say, we return the money to the debtor, even without there being witness to substantiate their claim, so they can also deem credible to say, we repay the creditor as they have no financial incentive to lie. And now since the time of Rav Nachman, when the sages instituted an oath of encumbered, which means an oath instituted by the sages in a case where the defendant completely denies a claim, these witnesses are affected by their testimony if they were to claim that they returned the money to the one who appointed them. They will be required to take an oath of indictment to that effect. So as a result, they have the incentive to lie and claim that they fulfilled their agency and repaired the loan, and therefore their testimony that they fulfilled their agency is not deemed credible. So they said, this witness, בהשת תיקון רבנן שבועת הסד משתב דען עדים דהאבין עלי ומשתב במלווה דלא שקל ופר ללווה למלווה. So therefore the witnesses take an oath in the rabbinic court that they gave the money to that person, which is the lender, and the lender in turn take an oath that he did not take the money owed to him, and then the one who owed the money, the debtor, paid the lender his debt second time. That's the sages' rule in a similar cases. So again, there's a lot to talk. The Tosfot challenged the whole concept of migo. He said that the bottom line is that the whole idea of al pi shnei edim, you go by the two witnesses, it's only when it's come because of ta'anotehem, because of their claim, because of their statements. which is the dibur, the speaking, but if the whole idea is because they knew that they need to take an oath, so en koach be'edutam, their witnesses is not credible. So again, the whole idea of taking an oath and testimony, the big question we need to ask is, what is our understanding when we're sitting and watching, if their manner of testimony is based on the idea that they knew they need to take an oath. In our simple language, you ask a person and he knows in advance that whatever you said in the court, you need to place your hand on the Torah and take an oath. Therefore, you challenge the whole matter of witnesses here because of that notion, versus when they just make a claim and make a claim that it's logical and rational, so therefore you can go by that. So the whole idea of al pi shnei edim, by having two witnesses, that's the basic of the Ta'anat Migo.